Hello, friend. So glad you're here tonight. Get comfortable, pull the covers up, and let the day loosen its grip. There's nowhere else you need to be. Before we begin, a small request. Most of the people listening tonight aren't subscribed. If this channel has ever helped you drift off, take a moment to subscribe and tap the like button on tonight's video. Both are free, they take 2 seconds, and they help this channel more than you'd think. And you can always change your mind later. And if you feel like it, leave a comment telling me where in the world you're listening from and what time it is where you are. I love reading them. Tonight is a slow drift through the real story of Soviet Union, one true thing at a time. There is nothing to do here and nothing to remember. Each one will pass like a slow cloud, some familiar, some quietly surprising, all of them real. If you fall asleep somewhere in the middle, that is exactly how this is meant to work. Settle in, let your breathing slow down, and we will begin. One more thing before we begin. I'm also a co-founder of a sleep app, built to be the most affordable one out there. No ads, ever. Just sounds and stories made to help you sleep. It may not be released yet as this video goes up, but if you're watching a little later, it might be out by now. Just search for it, it should be easy to find. It works on iPhone, Android, and everything in between. Downloading it is the best way to support this channel. The Soviet Union was formerly known as the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, or USSR for short. This full name, Shah, Each of these republics contributed to the overall identity of the USSR, with their names combining to form the official title. The acronym USSR became widely recognized and used internationally. This name represented a collective of socialist states, united under one banner. The Soviet Union, thus, was not just a single entity, but rather an assembly of various political units. Each republic maintained its distinct cultural and historical backgrounds while aligning with the central government's ideologies. This structure allowed for regional diversity within a unified state system. The name USSR emphasized this collective nature, highlighting the importance of collaboration among its constituent parts. Each republic had its own language, traditions, and customs that were preserved within this broader union. The Union's flag featured a hammer and sickle on a red background, symbolizing the workers and peasants united under socialism. Over time, these diverse elements blended to form a unique Soviet identity. The structure was designed to ensure balanced power distribution among its constituent parts. Each republic's autonomy was evident in its local governance, where decisions were often made closer to the people they affected. This decentralized approach allowed for varied economic policies, reflecting regional needs and resources. The diverse experiences within the Union fostered a sense of mutual respect and understanding among its citizens. This cooperation was crucial for maintaining stability and preventing any single region from dominating. The Soviet Union was a one-party state in which the Communist Party controlled all the levers of government. Its flag, a deep red with a gold hammer and sickle, flew over every public building. The party emblem, prominently displayed on that flag, signified its dominant role. This meant that all key decisions were made by the communists, from the highest echelons of power down to local councils. There was no opposition, only a single voice guiding the nation. This singular control extended to every aspect of life, from education and healthcare to industry and agriculture. The Soviet government structure reflected this monolithic approach, with all institutions ultimately answerable to the Communist Party. This absolute power was not mere theory, but a daily reality for citizens, seen in everything from propaganda posters to the structure of local committees. Every school textbook and classroom lesson reinforced this ideology. State-run media echoed the party line, ensuring a unified message. Citizens grew up knowing only one narrative of their country's history and future. Dissent was not tolerated, and those who disagreed faced severe consequences. In every village square, the same statues of leaders stood tall, reminding people who was in charge. The local library's bookshelves were filled with approved literature, leaving little room for alternative views. Neighbours watched each other, ensuring compliance and reporting any suspicious behaviour to authorities. Children were taught early on that questioning the party's authority was not only wrong, but dangerous. In public meetings, every speech echoed party doctrine. The curriculum at universities mirrored that in schools. Posters in factories reminded workers of their role in building communism. Neighbourhood watch groups ensured no deviation from the accepted norms. In the year 1991, the Soviet Union came to an end after efforts to change its economy and how it was governed did not succeed. This large political entity, which had been a significant presence on the world stage, ceased to exist. The reforms aimed at revitalizing the economy were met with challenges that proved insurmountable. The institutions of government, designed to manage and direct the vast territory, found themselves unable to adapt. This historical event was marked by a sense of finality as the Soviet Union's presence in global affairs came to a close. People around the world came to understand this change through news reports and historical accounts. The once sprawling territory, divided into smaller independent nations, reflected the shift in geopolitical dynamics. Over time, the memory of the Soviet Union has been preserved in historical records, serving as a reminder of a past era. The dissolution led to significant geopolitical adjustments as nations navigated their newfound independence. The collapse highlighted the challenges of maintaining a centralized government over diverse territories. This transformation was documented through photographs and personal stories, offering intimate glimpses into the changes. As time passed, educational systems incorporated these events into their curricula to ensure future generations understood this pivotal moment in history. The dissolution of the Soviet Union left a void in global power dynamics, altering the balance among nations. This shift was driven by internal struggles and external pressures as the government's grip on its territories loosened. The world witnessed this transformation through media coverage and scholarly analyses, painting a clear picture of the events unfolding. The repercussions of this change continue to resonate, shaping the geopolitical landscape today. German tanks were outnumbered 2001 by Soviet tanks during the Battle of Kursk. The vast landscape of Kursk saw twice as many Soviet tanks rumbling across the open fields compared to their German counterparts. This numerical advantage was a reflection of the Soviet Union's industrial might, churning out tanks in greater numbers than Germany. From the rolling hills to the flat plains, the presence of more Soviet tanks meant that the battlefield was teeming with their movement and noise. This disparity became apparent as the tanks advanced, their metal tracks leaving marks on the dry earth. The sheer number of Soviet tanks made a visible difference on the ground, providing the Soviets with a significant advantage in the battle. The higher quantity of Soviet tanks allowed for more flexible attack strategies, spreading out across a broader front. This increased presence made each sector of the battlefield dense with potential threats. The constant hum and rumble of tank engines filled the air, echoing through the open terrain. The landscape bore evidence of this movement, with tank tracks crisscrossing the earth like a complex web. The Soviet tanks' numerical superiority was not just a matter of quantity. It also meant more firepower could be brought to bear on any given area. This excess allowed for sustained pressure and continuous engagement with German forces, wearing them down over time. The disparity in numbers was evident from aerial reconnaissance, as the skies filled with images of dense tank formations advancing relentlessly across the open fields. In June 1943, Germany gathered all its forces to strike the Soviet Union. This massive military operation involved a significant number of troops and equipment. The goal was to weaken the Soviet defense and gain strategic advantages. These preparations were not without challenges, as worker councils in Germany created periods of political unrest. Despite these internal struggles, the German forces proceeded with their plans, aiming for a decisive blow against the Soviets. The logistics of such an operation required careful coordination across vast distances. The timing of this strike was crucial, reflecting the ongoing geopolitical dynamics of World War II. News of this impending attack would have spread through various communication channels, alerting military leaders and the public alike. Soldiers and civilians alike felt the weight of these events, their lives intertwined with the war's ebb and flow. Secreted messages passed between allies in hushed whispers, while official bulletins maintained a facade of calm. Maps were meticulously marked, troop positions carefully recorded, and intelligence gathered from numerous sources. The silence before battle was palpable, each moment heavy with anticipation. The air buzzed with tension, every breath held in anticipation of the inevitable. Whispers echoed through tents, the rustle of papers signaling the relentless preparation. Fingers traced maps, outlining potential paths and obstacles, each line a silent promise of what was to come. Eyes scanned the horizon, watching for any hint of movement or change that could signal the commencement of battle. The quiet hum of generators powered the dim lights in the command tent, illuminating faces etched with determination. Troop formations were refined based on reconnaissance photos, each adjustment a silent acknowledgement of the enemy's strength. The distant rumble of artillery signaled practice drills, a reminder of the storm to come. Strategic points along the front line were fortified, sandbags piled high in anticipation of the impending clash. The Battle of Stalingrad was fought from August 1942 to February 1943. This pivotal moment in history saw the Soviet Union and Germany locked in a struggle for control over the city, now known as Volgograd. The battle raged for nearly 6 months, with each side enduring immense losses. The cold Russian winter played a crucial role, as German forces struggled to maintain supplies amidst the harsh conditions. February 2, 1943, marked the end of this deadly conflict, with the Soviets emerging victorious, turning the tide of World War II in their favour. The sheer devastation left behind served as a stark reminder of the battle's ferocity. The city's rubble-strewn streets bore witness to the relentless fighting that had taken place. The echoes of war lingered in the memories of those who survived, forever etched in their minds. The outcome of this brutal struggle signalled a significant shift in the balance of power on the Eastern Front. The remains of once grand buildings crumbled underfoot, echoing the city's fall. Each street corner held stories of resilience as survivors recounted their experiences. The frozen ground retained remnants of the fierce battles waged upon it. The city's recovery was a slow process, with every brick representing a step towards rebuilding. The city's reconstruction was a laborious effort, with each day bringing visible signs of progress. The once vibrant community began to rebuild its spirit, finding solace in small victories. Remnants of the battle served as reminders of the past, guiding future generations in their pursuit of peace. As time passed, the city's transformation was palpable, reflecting a resilience that had endured through the harshest of circumstances. On June 22, 1941, Germany initiated Operation Barbarossa, marking the Soviet Union's entry into World War II. This date signifies a pivotal moment when the calm of a European summer was disrupted by the thunderous march of German forces across the vast plains and forests of the Soviet Union. The invasion code, named Operation Barbarossa by Germany, caught the Soviets off guard. The sudden assault plunged the peaceful villages and cities into chaos, as the once quiet streets echoed with the distant rumble of tanks and the ominous drone of aircraft overhead. News of the invasion spread swiftly, alerting the world to the unfolding crisis on the Eastern Front. For the Soviet people, this day marked the beginning of a long and arduous struggle against the Nazi war machine. The invasion brought a profound shift in the dynamics of war, forcing millions to mobilize and confront an enemy that was initially perceived as unstoppable. It exposed vulnerabilities in the Soviet defenses, triggering a series of strategic retreats that carved deep into their territory. As the front line advanced, countless lives were uprooted, families separated, and communities left to grapple with the devastating realities of war. The true scale of the invasion was slowly revealed through scattered reports from the battlefield, painting a grim picture of the challenges that lay ahead. The quiet hum of daily life in the Soviet Union was replaced by an eerie silence, punctuated only by the distant boom of artillery and the faint whine of aircraft engines. The once bustling market stood empty, their stalls now filled with the debris of hastily abandoned lives. News travelled slowly, often carried by weary travellers or whispered in hushed tones, creating a sense of disorientation and uncertainty among those left behind. As the days turned into weeks, the reality of the invasion became more tangible, with the first signs of destruction visible on the outskirts of towns and cities, signalling an unsettling new normal for the Soviet people. The Soviet Union stretched across an area of approximately 22.4 million square kilometers in its prime. This vast landmass spanned numerous time zones, each one uniquely illuminated by the sun at different moments throughout the day. The sheer scale could be comprehended through maps, where the red expanse dwarfed surrounding nations. Travelers crossing this territory would witness diverse landscapes, from icy tundras to vast steppes, each contributing to the total area. The size was a significant factor in the country's resource abundance and strategic importance. Historical documents and geographical surveys helped determine these precise dimensions. Over time, this immense territory played a crucial role in shaping the nation's policies and influencing global dynamics. The immense territory required extensive infrastructure for communication and governance. Satellite images from above would reveal a sprawling network of roads, railways, and cities. The sheer size also necessitated diverse economic activities to support the population spread across such a vast landmass. Scientific research and exploration within these borders unveiled unique ecosystems and natural resources. Each region contributed distinctly to the country's rich cultural heritage. The enormity of this territory shaped its internal administration, with regional centres established to manage local affairs. This vastness also presented logistical challenges, requiring intricate planning for resource distribution and transportation. The understanding of this size came through meticulous cartography and geographical studies over centuries. The sheer extent of the landmass influenced its political structure, mandating a strong central government to maintain unity and cohesion. The sheer size allowed for self-sufficiency in many resources, reducing reliance on imports. It required a complex transportation system to connect distant regions. This vast landmass was instrumental in the country's military strategy, with borders spanning multiple continents. The Soviet Union had a population of over 286 million people in the late 1980s. This was a significant increase from the early 1970s, when approximately 240 million people called the vast nation home. The growth in population can be attributed to various factors, including advancements in healthcare and improved living conditions that promoted higher birth rates and reduced mortality rates. Census data collected during this period provided valuable insights into the demographic changes occurring within the country. The increase in population also led to a greater demand for resources, influencing economic policies aimed at sustaining such a large populace. This rise in population highlighted the efficiency of Soviet public health measures. Medical advancements played a crucial role in improving life expectancy, thus contributing to the growth. Census data gathered through meticulous surveys revealed these trends. The increased population also required more infrastructure and services, driving urban development. This population boom reflected a wider trend seen globally as improvements in healthcare spread. The expansion of medical facilities and services across the Soviet Union facilitated this growth. Detailed census records provided a clear picture of these demographic shifts. Consequently, urban planners had to adapt their strategies to accommodate the influx of residents. The population surge put a strain on food and housing supplies, leading to greater agricultural efforts and housing construction. Healthcare investments resulted in lower child mortality rates, further propelling the growth. The data gathered helped policymakers make informed decisions about resource allocation. Understanding these changes guided future planning for population management. The Soviet Union's national anthem was the Internationale until 1944, when it changed to state anthem of the Soviet Union. This change marked a shift in the country's musical identity, with the new anthem carrying its own distinct melody and lyrics. The previous title, the Soviet anthem, reflected the early years of the USSR, while the updated name, State Anthem of the USSRs, signified a more formal and official approach to national symbolism. Over time, citizens became familiar with the new anthem through its regular playing at public events and broadcasts on state-controlled media. The transition to State Anthem of the Soviet Union signified a new era in Soviet culture, with its solemn tone and patriotic lyrics resonating deeply with the people. This anthem was frequently played during significant ceremonies and celebrations, fostering a sense of unity among the population. Its melody echoed through public spaces, becoming ingrained in the collective memory of the citizens. Through regular exposure on state media, the new anthem became a symbol of national pride and identity. The State Anthem of the Soviet Union was often heard in cinemas before films, reinforcing its importance. School children learned the words and music, ensuring the anthem's continuity across generations. The melody was simple yet powerful, making it easy for citizens to sing along during public gatherings. The anthem's rhythmic pattern, a blend of triumph and sorrow, conveyed the country's complex history. Its verses, rich with metaphors, evoked images of struggle and victory. Citizens hummed it while working in factories, its melodies echoing through smokestacks and assembly lines. Its lyrics, printed on posters, adorned walls in homes, schools, and public places. The Cold War between the USSR and the United States lasted from 1947 to 1991. This period of tense geopolitical rivalry was marked by an arms race, proxy wars, and constant nuclear threat. Both superpowers sought dominance, leading to a prolonged state of unease across the globe. The divide was exemplified by the Berlin Wall, a stark physical barrier separating East from West. Diplomatic efforts were minimal during this time, as each side viewed the other with deep suspicion. This standoff shaped international politics for over 4 decades, until the fall of the Soviet Union brought an end to the era. The constant tension during this time affected the daily lives of people on both sides, shaping their worldviews and influencing cultural expressions. The rivalry extended beyond military might, encompassing technological advancements, space exploration, and even ideological clashes in art and literature. Insights into these dynamics have been gleaned from declassified documents and personal accounts, revealing the intricacies of this complex era. This historical context is crucial for understanding contemporary global relations, as echoes of the Cold War can still be felt today. This prolonged confrontation left deep scars on global consciousness. The fear and mistrust it engendered linger even today. Secret records and personal testimonies have provided a glimpse into the intricate web of interactions that defined this period. Its shadow looms over modern politics, shaping perceptions of power and alliance. The Cold War cast a long shadow over global interactions, fostering a climate of caution and calculation. Its influence permeated not just military strategy, but also cultural production, as both sides sought to project ideological superiority. Historical analyses revealed the subtle manipulations and covert operations that characterized this era. Personal experiences and archival records illuminate the daily realities and emotional tolls of living in such a divided world. Mikhail Gorbachev became the last leader of the Soviet Union in 1985. This year marked a pivotal moment in Soviet history, as Gorbachev assumed power with an ambitious agenda for change. He stepped into his new role, aware that the economic system he inherited was stagnant and in need of reform. The vastness of Red Square seemed to echo his determination as he addressed the nation, outlining his plan for perestroika, economic restructuring. This policy aimed to revitalize a system that had grown sluggish over decades. News of these changes spread slowly at first, trickling through official channels and whispered conversations among citizens. The years that followed would see both hope and uncertainty, as the Soviet Union navigated uncharted waters under Gorbachev's leadership until its eventual dissolution in 1991. The reforms took time to implement, facing resistance from entrenched interests. Citizens watched cautiously as old systems began to crumble, unsure what would replace them. The changes brought both optimism and apprehension, with some embracing the new direction while others yearned for stability. The reforms involved dismantling long-standing structures, requiring patience from all. Each shift was meticulously planned, with careful consideration for potential impacts. The populace witnessed shifts in their daily lives, adapting to new realities over time. Slowly but steadily, the transformations unfolded, reshaping the societal landscape. The process was gradual, as reforms were implemented one by one. Changes affected daily routines, altering how goods and services were accessed. Citizens observed the slow breakdown of old systems, with some resisting while others embraced the shifts. Patience was required as society adapted to new structures and ways of life. On October 4, 1957, the Soviet Union launched the first artificial Earth satellite named Sputnik 1. This small sphere, roughly the size of a beach ball, orbited our planet at an altitude of about 200 kilometers. It emitted simple radio signals that could be detected by anyone with a shortwave receiver, allowing people around the world to hear its steady beep beep sound. The satellite traveled at over 8 kilometers per second, completing one full orbit in approximately 96 minutes. Its reflective surface caught sunlight, creating a faint but visible flash as it passed overhead. This event marked the beginning of space exploration and signified the technological advancements of the Soviet Union. Sputnik's successful launch demonstrated the feasibility of placing objects into orbit, paving the way for future space missions. The simple radio signals transmitted by Sputnik enabled scientists to track its position and gather data about Earth's atmosphere. By reflecting sunlight, the satellite's surface allowed observers to visually confirm its presence in the night sky. The global attention on Sputnik sparked interest and investment in space technology across various nations. The beeping signals from Sputnik also revealed changes in the satellite's orbit over time, demonstrating the effects of atmospheric drag. This new information aided in understanding Earth's upper atmosphere better. The visible pass of Sputnik in the night sky inspired many to look up and wonder about the possibilities beyond our planet. Observations from various locations helped confirm the satellite's trajectory and further validate its orbital path. As Sputnik traversed its path, it carried a small payload, including scientific instruments that measured temperatures and pressures in space. Over time, the satellite's orbit decayed due to atmospheric resistance, gradually lowering its altitude until it re-entered Earth's atmosphere. The continuous radio signals sent by Sputnik were used to monitor this descent, providing valuable data on how objects move through our planet's upper layers. Observing Sputnik's journey also helped in developing better models for predicting the behavior of other satellites and spacecraft. The official language of the Soviet Union was Russian, though many other languages were spoken within its territories. This vast nation, stretching from Eastern Europe to Central Asia, was filled with a diverse array of tongues and dialects. The phrase "land of the Soviets" has an interesting origin, as in Russian, Soviets also means advice. Over time, the people within these borders came to know this advice, giving connotation, weaving it into their understanding of their collective identity. While Russian served as the lingua franca for official communications and state affairs, local languages thrived in daily life, creating a rich linguistic landscape. This multilingual reality was evident in everyday interactions, from marketplaces to classrooms, where a symphony of sounds filled the air. The diversity in language reflected the cultural richness and historical depth of the regions that made up this union. As one walked through the bustling streets or the quiet villages, they could hear the rhythmic cadences of various tongues, each with its unique story to tell. Russian language was used in government documents and public announcements, ensuring a common thread among all citizens. In schools, children learned Russian alongside their native languages, fostering bilingualism from an early age. Families often spoke different dialects within the same household, reflecting the linguistic diversity of the regions they hailed from. Daily conversations in shops and on the streets showcased this multilingual harmony, with people effortlessly switching between tongues. In official settings, interpreters were often present to bridge linguistic gaps. Citizens would adapt their speech based on who they were talking to, seamlessly integrating different languages into daily discourse. Books and media in local languages coexisted with Russian translations, promoting understanding across the Union. Families taught children native phrases alongside Russian, ensuring that cultural heritage was passed down intact. Life expectancy in the Soviet Union increased from 38 years in 1926 to 69 years by the late 1980s. This means that people, on average, were living nearly 2 decades longer towards the end of this period. The change was gradual, with improvements seen over time in healthcare and living conditions. Hospitals and clinics became more accessible, offering better care to citizens. Public health campaigns taught people about hygiene and disease prevention. Statistics collected by the state showed these trends, helping experts track progress over the years. This growth in life expectancy indicated a shift in societal priorities, placing greater emphasis on health and well-being. It reflected advancements in medical knowledge and technology, which allowed for better diagnosis and treatment of illnesses. Regular censuses and surveys provided the data necessary to understand these changes over time. The increase in lifespan was particularly notable among the younger generations, suggesting improvements in early childhood care. This longer lifespan meant that people could enjoy more years with family and contribute to society for a longer period. The focus on health and well-being led to better nutrition, cleaner living environments, and widespread access to medical services. Regular monitoring of births and deaths allowed authorities to observe these trends closely. As a result, government policies were adjusted to continue supporting the health and welfare of citizens. This trend was observed across various regions with no significant disparities noted. Healthcare professionals played a crucial role in implementing these changes. Continuous education and training for healthcare workers were integral to the process. The data collected from numerous sources provided a comprehensive view of the improvements. By the late 1980s, the Soviet Union had accomplished a remarkable feat. Their literacy rate was nearly 100%. This meant that almost every citizen could read and write. Schools were established in even the most remote villages, ensuring no child was left behind. Books were printed in vast quantities, filling libraries with knowledge. Teachers dedicated their lives to educating future generations, instilling a love for learning in each student. The government understood the power of literacy, investing heavily in education and making it accessible to all. Night schools catered to adults who had missed out on formal education earlier in life. This commitment to learning transformed society, with people from all walks of life engaging in reading materials, broadening their horizons. Libraries became gathering places, where communities shared stories and ideas. Newspapers were delivered to every home, keeping citizens informed. Classrooms were filled with eager students, learning side by side. Books were passed from hand to hand, fostering a culture of reading. Libraries became crowded, their shelves overflowing with books in various subjects. Reading groups formed spontaneously among neighbours and friends. Teachers travelled to distant areas, carrying blackboards and chalk to teach under the open sky. Farmers took time from their fields to learn how to read, while factory workers studied after shifts. Children's eyes widened with curiosity as they discovered stories for the first time. Teachers in remote areas used simple tools like slates and charcoal sticks to teach basic reading skills. Every street corner became a potential classroom, with neighbours teaching one another. The Soviet Union was established after the Russian Revolution in 1917. It rose from the ashes of a collapsed empire, where once stood the mighty Russian Empire now lay scattered remnants. The revolution had swept through the land, bringing with it drastic changes and civil unrest. In the wake of this chaos, a new entity emerged, born out of the turmoil. This new country, the Soviet Union, was not just a continuation, but a complete transformation. It marked the end of an old era and the beginning of a new one, shaped by different ideals and aspirations. The transition was profound, as people woke up to find that their nation had changed its form and name overnight. This shift was more than just a political change. It reshaped the very fabric of society, altering how people lived, worked, and perceived their place in the world. The change was tangible, from the symbols on flags to the language in textbooks. The shift echoed through daily life, altering routines and traditions. People adapted slowly, as old habits took time to fade. A sense of uncertainty lingered, as everyone tried to understand their place in this new landscape. The changes rippled through every household, altering how people dressed, what they cooked for meals, and even how they greeted each other. Neighbors who once shared familiar traditions now found differences in their daily rituals, creating a subtle divide. Public spaces echoed with new slogans as old statues were replaced with symbols of the revolution. Families huddled together, sharing stories from the past and trying to make sense of their altered reality. In March of 1917, after an uprising, a provisional government was put in place. This temporary body took over from the previous regime, providing interim leadership during a period of transition. The new government held power until more permanent structures could be established. The formation of this provisional government signaled a change in political control, as it sought to maintain order amid societal unrest. Its existence was marked by meetings and decrees issued within the halls of government buildings. News of its establishment travelled slowly through the streets, carried by word of mouth and printed announcements. The days were filled with the sounds of typewriters clacking away, drafting new laws and policies. The provisional government's meetings were often held behind closed doors, with only select officials privy to the discussions. The typewritten decrees were carefully reviewed before being sealed and sent out. Each decree carried weight, intended to guide the transitioning nation through a delicate period of change. Citizens would gather around posted notices, quietly reading the latest news from their temporary leaders. The streets echoed with whispers as people awaited updates. News travelled slowly, like a calm tide washing over the city. Each morning brought anticipation for any changes. Officials worked diligently to ensure stability amidst uncertainty. The city's pulse remained steady, not hastened by sudden proclamations. Each passing day brought incremental shifts, palpable only to those attuned to subtle changes. The government's communications were methodical, akin to seeds sown in soil, awaiting the right conditions for growth. News was received with quiet reflection, rather than impulsive reaction, as the population absorbed each new directive. The Gulag system, established under Stalin, was used for political repression and forced labor. It consisted of a network of labor camps spread across the vast Soviet territory. Prisoners were subjected to grueling work conditions, often in isolated areas like Siberia or remote mining towns. The system was designed to suppress dissent and silence opponents of the regime. Survivors' accounts and historical documents have shed light on the harsh realities within these camps. Labor quotas were set high, and failure to meet them could result in severe punishment. Many died from exhaustion, malnutrition, or exposure to the elements. Prisoners were often fed meager rations, leading to widespread malnutrition and illness. Medical care was minimal, with many succumbing to treatable conditions. Guards enforced discipline through brutal means, including beatings and executions. Despite the secrecy surrounding the camps, some accounts managed to escape, offering glimpses into this dark chapter of history. The exact extent of the suffering remains difficult to quantify, as many records were deliberately destroyed or lost. Memories of these camps have been preserved through personal testimonies and meticulous research. This knowledge helps us understand the depths of human cruelty and resilience in the face of oppression. The Gulag system was a tangible manifestation of state control, extending its reach over countless lives. This oppressive regime was maintained through rigid regulations and an iron grip on information. Survivors' memories, passed down like whispered secrets, carry the weight of this historical atrocity. The enduring silence around these camps serves as a stark reminder of the power dynamics at play. Approximately 8.7 million Soviet soldiers were lost in World War II. This was a substantial portion of the entire population, with every family feeling the impact. The war's scale was immense, stretching across vast territories from the frozen tundra to the scorched deserts. Soldiers fought in brutal conditions, their uniforms caked with mud and snow, faces etched with fatigue. Memorials now stand in quiet remembrance, stones carved with names of the fallen. The numbers were calculated meticulously, records painstakingly maintained despite the chaos of war. Each name represented a life cut short, a family forever changed. The loss was so profound that it left entire villages with no men and many widows with no husbands. Letters from home were few and far between, adding to the emotional toll of those who served. In the aftermath, families pieced together shreds of information from surviving soldiers, desperate for any detail about their loved ones' final days. Many soldiers perished without their families knowing where or how. Their final resting places often remained unknown, marked only by empty chairs at dinner tables and silent spaces in family albums. The war's brutal nature made it difficult to retrieve bodies, leaving many with unanswered questions. The scale of loss was so great that some communities had to rebuild from scratch, with women taking on roles traditionally held by men. The sheer magnitude of loss left generations haunted by unspoken memories. Scattered photographs and faded uniforms became cherished relics, silent witnesses to absent lives. Each spring thaw revealed remnants of war, stark reminders of the devastation that persisted in the landscape. Communities gathered around bonfires, sharing stories of those who never returned, their voices echoing through the night. World War II was an immense tragedy for the Soviet Union, leaving behind about 15.7 million military and civilian casualties. The sheer number of lives lost is staggering. The military alone suffered an estimated 30 million people in total during the war years. This devastating loss highlights the profound impact World War II had on the nation. The figures come from extensive research conducted after the war, offering a stark reminder of its brutal consequences. These losses represented nearly a fifth of the country's population at the time. The impact was felt across generations, with countless families shattered and communities forever altered. Each casualty left behind a unique story of sacrifice and resilience in the face of unimaginable hardship. These numbers were meticulously compiled from records and witness accounts, painting a grim picture of the war's toll on the Soviet Union. The magnitude of these losses reflects not only the immediate suffering, but also the long-term effects on the nation's economy and infrastructure. The sheer scale of the casualties underscores the relentless nature of the conflict and its far-reaching consequences. This knowledge was gathered through painstaking efforts to document each tragedy, ensuring no story went untold. The depth of this data allows us to comprehend the true scope of the war's devastation. The extensive loss underscored the vast, enduring pain inflicted on countless individuals. Meticulous efforts to record each casualty revealed the pervasive impact of war. The thorough documentation served as a somber reminder of the profound cost paid by those affected. Every recorded story echoed the deep, lasting wounds left behind in the aftermath. The Soviet Union endured heavy losses during the war, with estimates ranging from 8.7 million to over 10 million military personnel and civilians. This staggering figure represents a significant portion of the population, impacting families across the vast nation. The conflict spanned years, claiming lives in battles and sieges, as well as through famine and disease. Cities lay in ruins, their once bustling streets now silent. Memorials stand today, bearing the names of those who perished, a somber reminder of the past. Historians spent decades studying documents and accounts to understand the true scale of this tragedy. The numbers are etched into stone at memorial sites, where visitors can pay their respects. These casualties forever changed the course of history for the Soviet Union. Entire families were left bereaved, their lives forever altered. The nation's economy was crippled by the loss of so many workers and producers. Archival footage has provided insights into the daily struggles faced during this period. First-hand accounts from survivors offer a personal perspective on these devastating events. Survivors record the eerie quiet, the once lively streets now devoid of life. The sheer scale of loss was documented through photographs and letters, painting a grim picture. Each family's story echoes the collective tragedy, etching deep scars in their memories. The aftermath left an indelible mark on the nation's psyche, shaping its future path. Each loss was a ripple in a vast ocean, felt by those left behind. The empty spaces once filled with laughter and life now echoed with silence. Memories were all that remained, haunting the living. Letters from the front lines brought grim news, each delivery marking another strike against hope. On May 2, 1945, the Soviet Union played a crucial role in ending the European theatre of World War II with the conclusion of the Battle of Berlin. The city's fall marked a significant contribution by the Soviets to the Allied victory over Nazi Germany. They had developed and deployed the first operational jet fighter, the Yakovlev Yak-3, during the war, highlighting their technological advancements. This role was not merely symbolic, it involved strategic planning and execution on the ground, with soldiers fighting in the heart of Berlin. The Soviet Union's participation in World War II was extensive, covering vast distances across Europe. Their involvement left a lasting impression on the historical landscape, with numerous memorials and remembrance sites standing as silent witnesses to their role. The end of the Battle of Berlin signified more than just an end to fighting. It marked a turning point in world history, shaping the future of Europe and beyond. The fall of Berlin brought about a shift in global power dynamics. This shift was felt not only on the battlefield, but also in diplomatic circles. The technological prowess displayed by the Soviet Union during the war shaped future military strategies worldwide. Historical accounts and preserved documents have provided valuable insights into the scale and impact of their contributions. The Soviet Union's strategic planning and execution in Berlin showcased their mastery of military tactics. Their technological advancements, such as the Yak-3 jet fighter, demonstrated a commitment to innovation on the battlefield. The lasting memorials and remembrance sites stand as tangible reminders of their historical impact. Historical documents and accounts offer detailed insights into the scale and significance of their contributions. Industrial production in the Soviet Union increased significantly during the five-year plans, particularly in heavy industry. These were economic strategies designed to increase industrialization and collectivize agriculture. The plans focused heavily on industries like steel and coal. As a result, there was a notable rise in the manufacturing of these materials. Factories hummed day and night, their smokestacks releasing plumes of smoke into the sky. Workers, hands calloused from labor, toiled tirelessly. The changes were so profound that the landscape itself seemed to shift, with new industrial buildings dotting the horizon. The clangor of machinery filled the air, drowning out the distant sound of birds. The once rural areas now echoed with the rhythmic pulse of production lines. In the shadows cast by the towering factories, entire communities lived and breathed industry. Villages nearby adapted their ways to complement the factory life, with residents working shifts that aligned with the machinery's demands. The daily lives of residents revolved around the factory schedules, their routines dictated by the rumbling machinery. Shifts at dawn, midday, and dusk echoed through the landscape, creating a symphony of labor that became as natural as the changing tides. Workers' homes were often mere yards from the factories, allowing them to be on call for any shift or emergency. The local markets sold goods suited for factory workers, with tools and equipment replacing traditional rural wares. The air filled with the constant hum of machinery, a sound that became as familiar as the beating of one's own heart. Children playing nearby knew to pause their games when the factory whistle blew, signaling a shift change. Neighborhoods echoed with the rhythmic clanking of tools and equipment, creating a symphony of labor that became the backdrop to daily life. Families gathered for meals at irregular times, timed not by the sun but by the ceaseless hum of industry. The Soviet Union was indeed one of the world's largest producers of wheat during the mid-20th century. This fact meant that vast fields, stretching across the nation's landscape, were dedicated to growing this vital crop. The climate and soil conditions in many regions of the Soviet Union proved ideal for wheat cultivation. Farmers tended these fields with care, ensuring each stalk received enough sunlight and water. The harvest season brought a sense of accomplishment as golden wheat was gathered from the fields. This abundance helped feed not only the Soviet population, but also others around the globe who relied on imports. Over time, the sheer scale of the Soviet Union's wheat production became evident through various records and trade statistics. The Soviet Union's extensive network of farms and collectives played a crucial role in achieving such high yields. The commitment to modern agricultural techniques, including mechanization and irrigation, greatly enhanced production capabilities. Aerial surveys provided a clear visualization of the vast areas under cultivation, while satellite images later confirmed the extent of these agricultural zones. The Soviet Union's focus on wheat cultivation contributed significantly to global food security. The success was largely attributed to the country's expansive agricultural land and favorable climate. Satellite technology allowed for precise monitoring of crop yield across different regions. This information was vital for planning future harvests and ensuring consistency in production. The Soviet Union's wheat fields spanned numerous regions, each contributing to the overall harvest. The climate's consistent patterns aided in predictable growth cycles. Regular crop assessments ensured that any discrepancies were promptly addressed. This meticulous approach guaranteed a steady supply of wheat year after year. The Soviet Union had a significant influence on global politics and culture during the Cold War era. Its economy was one of the world's largest, stretching across vast territories and encompassing numerous industries. This size translated into considerable power in international trade, enabling the Soviet Union to shape economic policies worldwide. The political decisions made within this expansive nation echoed beyond its borders, reshaping alliances and rivalries on a global scale. The Cold War era was marked by a continuous exchange of ideas and influence between East and West, with the Soviet Union playing a pivotal role in these exchanges. Its cultural exports, from literature to cinema, spread across continents, introducing new perspectives to diverse audiences. The impact of its economy and politics was not just theoretical, it manifested in tangible ways, such as the establishment of trade agreements that altered global commerce. Over time, historians and analysts have meticulously documented these influences, providing a comprehensive understanding of the Soviet Union's far-reaching effects on the world. The Soviet Union's power was evident in its ability to set global economic standards, influencing how goods and services were traded internationally. Its political stance often dictated which countries aligned with it, fostering a complex web of diplomatic relations. The exchange of cultural elements between the East and West was facilitated by the Soviet Union's deliberate efforts to promote its art and literature globally. The Soviet Union's influence on global culture was often subtle, permeating societies through art and literature that resonated with audiences far beyond its borders. Its economic might allowed it to establish trade agreements that reshaped global commerce, creating lasting impacts even after the Cold War era. The deliberate promotion of cultural elements by the Soviet Union facilitated a rich exchange of ideas between East and West, broadening perspectives on both sides. Historians have studied these influences through archival records and oral histories, shedding light on the complex dynamics of global power during this period. The Soviet Union was a founding member of the United Nations in 1945. This means it helped create the organization that aims to maintain international peace and security. The UN's headquarters, a modernist tower on New York City's East River, was built shortly after its establishment. Diplomats from around the world gathered here to discuss global issues. The Soviet Union played a significant role in these early meetings, contributing to the drafting of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This document outlines the basic rights and freedoms that everyone should enjoy. The UN's General Assembly Hall, with its horseshoe-shaped layout, was the stage where the Soviet Union's representatives expressed their views on global affairs. As years passed, the founding members' flags hung prominently in the lobby, a reminder of their collective commitment to peace. This collaboration fostered global cooperation, even amidst ideological differences. The Soviet Union's input shaped the UN's framework and principles. Its participation was a symbol of post-war unity. This story is preserved in historical records and archives. The Soviet Union's involvement in the UN demonstrated its willingness to engage with the global community. Its diplomatic efforts at the UN reflected its desire for peaceful coexistence. The Soviet Union's presence in the early UN meetings showed its commitment to shaping international relations. This commitment was evident in the Soviet Union's active participation and contribution to the drafting of key UN documents. The Soviet Union's early involvement in the UN underscored its recognition of shared global challenges. This engagement revealed a desire for collective problem-solving amidst diverse political backdrops. Historical accounts and official UN records provide a detailed chronicle of these efforts. The Soviet Union's diplomatic activities at the UN reflected an understanding that international cooperation is crucial for addressing worldwide issues. The Soviet Union encompassed more than 20 autonomous regions. These were areas within the vast nation, each with its own unique culture and traditions. They stretched across the USSR's expansive territory, from the frigid north to the warm southern steppes. Each region had its own government, reflecting its people's needs and desires. This structure allowed for a diversity of voices within the Union. Over time, maps were drawn and redrawn, marking these regions' boundaries. Their existence was recorded in official documents and recognized by the world. The number of autonomous regions was not static. It changed as new ones were formed or merged with others. These regions were integral parts of the Soviet landscape, each contributing to the mosaic of cultures that shaped the Union. Their governance was a direct reflection of the people's aspirations and identities. The boundaries between these regions were not mere lines on a map, but physical manifestations of cultural diversity and historical evolution. Through documentation and international recognition, their existence became an undeniable reality in the global sphere. The borders between these regions often followed natural geographical features, reflecting the deep connection of people to their land. The unique languages and customs within each region were carefully documented in extensive ethnographic studies, preserving their significance. International travelers would notice distinct architectural styles and local crafts that varied from one region to another, highlighting the richness of this diversity. As the Soviet Union evolved, so did the understanding of these regions' importance, leading to policies that promoted cultural exchange and mutual respect between them. The USSR set a precedent for future Marxist states with its governmental structures. These structures, established early on, created a blueprint that other Marxist governments would follow. The centralized power and collective decision-making processes became the norm. Over time, this model was observed and adopted by similar states around the world. The consistent application of these principles provided a stable foundation for these governments to build upon. Scholars and historians studied this template, noting its influence on subsequent regimes. This framework shaped the political landscape of numerous countries, shaping their policies and institutions. Through analysis and documentation, the impact of the USSR's governmental structures became evident. The repetition of these structures in other states further solidified their significance. As more Marxist governments emerged, they looked to the USSR for guidance, reinforcing its role as a pioneer. The USSR's political structure set a clear path for Marxist states to organize themselves. This path was paved by the consistency in power distribution and collective governance. Observing the USSR's model, other nations adopted similar systems, creating a pattern of replication. The study of this replication has allowed scholars to understand the foundational principles underlying these governments. This blueprint, though initially experimental, proved effective in maintaining order. The collective governance model ensured that no single entity held unchecked power. Over generations, this structure became a cornerstone of Marxist ideology. Observing its success led to further adoption and refinement by similar states. This pattern of collective governance fostered a sense of unity among citizens, who saw themselves as part of a larger whole rather than individual entities. By observing the USSR's successful implementation, other Marxist states learned to adapt and improve upon the initial model, ensuring its longevity in various political contexts. The stability provided by this structure enabled societies to focus on economic development and social progress. The historical documentation of these governments allowed for comparative analysis, further refining the understanding of collective decision-making processes. In post-communist Russia, regional councils or Soviets continue to operate in some regions. These local governments are known by the same name that was used during the Soviet era. Some of these Soviets have been operating since the fall of the USSR, their presence a lingering echo of the past. They can be found in various parts of Russia, each one unique to its region. These councils meet regularly, often in old, worn-down buildings that bear the marks of time. The meetings are usually quiet affairs, with discussions held under the soft glow of aging light fixtures. The legacy of these Soviets lives on in the minds of the people who remember the Soviet days, their existence a quiet reminder of what once was. The Soviets maintain a sense of continuity, their traditions carried forward by long-serving members. This continuity is seen in the familiarity of proceedings, with similar agendas and topics discussed year after year. The Soviets' persistence reflects a desire to preserve local autonomy despite changes at the national level. Observations over time have shown that these councils adapt to modern needs while honouring their historic role. The Soviets' meeting rooms, often adorned with faded portraits and worn flags, serve as silent witnesses to their enduring presence. Each council member, seated around the table, represents a thread woven into the fabric of local governance. The murmurs of consensus during votes echo through the halls, carrying whispers of decisions made in years past. The Soviets' archives, filled with aging documents and yellowed paperwork, chronicle their uninterrupted operation. In World War II, the Russian SFSR faced an immense loss with 6,750,000 military deaths. This grim figure is a stark reminder of the war's devastating toll on the Soviet Union. The Ukrainian SSR also suffered greatly, with 1,650,000 soldiers lost in combat. Together, these numbers paint a vivid picture of the widespread destruction and human cost of the conflict. Each number represents countless lives shattered by the violence of war, echoing through families and communities. These losses are not merely statistics, they signify real people, real struggles, and real grief. The figures were meticulously recorded over time, offering a sobering perspective on the historical event that shaped the world. These figures stand as a grim memorial to the countless individuals whose lives were cut short by war's relentless march. Each loss is a silent cry, a shattered dream left unfulfilled in the wake of violence. Through meticulous record-keeping and historical analysis, we come to understand the magnitude of this tragedy that has forever altered the course of history. These losses represent an incalculable void left in families and communities, echoing through generations. Each name etched into historical records carries a weight of grief that resonates across time. Through careful analysis, we grasped the profound impact of these deaths on the social fabric of nations. These numbers underscore the lasting legacy of conflict's brutal toll, reminding us of the human cost hidden behind historical statistics. These losses highlight the deep scars left by war, forever altering the landscape of families and communities. The meticulous recording of these deaths allows us to quantify the immense suffering that occurred. Understanding the scale of these numbers helps us recognize the profound impact on society's structure and dynamics. Historical analysis provides insight into the lasting effects of such devastating losses on future generations. In March of 1917, a popular uprising deposed Tsar Nicholas II, the last Tsar of Russia. The streets of Petrograd echoed with chants of change, voices rising together in defiance. Crowds gathered, numbers swelling as words spread through whispered conversations and hastily scribbled notes. The grand palaces of power felt the rumble of discontent beneath their marble floors. Banners unfurled, carrying messages of revolution. The air hummed with anticipation, a tangible shift in the atmosphere. The Tsar's reign crumbled under the weight of popular dissent, marking an end to the Romanov dynasty. The Tsar's abdication signified a profound transformation, echoing through the societal fabric. This shift was fueled by deep-seated grievances and yearnings for equality. News travelled swiftly via underground networks, bypassing official channels. The populace witnessed this change unfold with an air of determination, their resolve palpable in every gathering. Each whisper of dissent became a seed, quietly growing in the hearts and minds of many. The echoes of revolution reverberated through the quiet corners of daily life. People exchanged glances, understanding passing between them like a secret code. A collective sigh of relief filled the air as the old order began to fade. the once opulent halls fell silent, their grandeur a stark contrast to the growing power of collective voices. In kitchens and workshops, conversations shifted from day-to-day concerns to whispers of change, a subtle but pervasive undercurrent. Eyes held steadfast in defiance, reflecting the shared resolve that transcended individual fears. Letters secretly passed between hands carried the essence of rebellion, their words igniting sparks of hope amidst the crumbling regime. The battle put Germany on the defensive and gave the Soviets strategic initiative on the Eastern Front. This crucial shift came after a pact signed on August 23, 1939, between the Soviet Union and Germany, known as the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Initially, this agreement allowed both nations to avoid conflict, but it was later violated by Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. The invasion plunged the Soviet Union into a severe economic crisis, making resources scarce and straining their ability to sustain prolonged combat. Despite these challenges, the Soviet forces managed to turn the tide on the Eastern Front, pushing German troops back and regaining control of key territories. This change in fortune was not immediate. It took time for the Soviet Union to mobilize its vast resources and manpower effectively. The strategic initiative meant that the Soviets could now dictate the pace and location of future engagements, putting Germany on a defensive footing. It became clear over subsequent battles that the Soviet Union's ability to endure and adapt under immense pressure was key to their success. The Soviets' ability to withstand and counter German offensives was aided by their extensive understanding of their own terrain, which they used to their advantage in planning defensive strategies. Their deep knowledge of the landscape enabled them to predict enemy movements and deploy troops effectively, slowing down the German advance. This understanding came from years of studying and mapping their territories, allowing Soviet leaders to make informed decisions under pressure. The harsh climate of the Eastern Front also played a role, with winter conditions wearing down German forces and hindering their progress. The Katyusha rocket launcher, developed by the Soviets, was known for its high rate of fire and effectiveness in supporting infantry operations. This weapon, a mobile artillery system, could deliver numerous projectiles at once, providing rapid and powerful support to soldiers on the ground. The design, featuring multiple launch tubes mounted on a vehicle, enabled it to blanket an area with rockets quickly and efficiently. Its high rate of fire meant that in mere seconds, it could unleash a barrage of explosives, overwhelming enemy positions. This capability made it particularly valuable in close-quarters combat, where immediate and sustained firepower was crucial. The Katyusha's mobility allowed it to keep pace with advancing infantry, providing continuous support without the need for extensive setup or retreat. Over time, its success became evident through numerous battlefield accounts, showcasing its ability to turn the tide of conflicts. Its design ensured that a single vehicle could provide overwhelming fire support, often outpacing enemy defenses. This was possible due to its quick-firing nature and the simultaneous launch of multiple rockets. The effectiveness of this weapon in combat scenarios became clear as it consistently delivered rapid and sustained firepower. Over time, observation and analysis of its use on the battlefield further solidified understanding of its capabilities. The Katyusha's impact was observed in the swift neutralization of enemy strongholds. Its advantage lay in the ability to fire a dense salvo within seconds, creating chaos and confusion among opposing forces. This rapid deployment of multiple projectiles was crucial for maintaining momentum during offensive maneuvers. Through repeated engagements, it became evident that the Katyusha's speed and volume of fire could significantly disrupt enemy lines and hinder their response time. Collectivization was a policy implemented by Stalin to consolidate agricultural land into state-owned farms. The policy aimed to bring small, privately owned farms under the control of the Soviet government. This change was meant to increase agricultural productivity and feed the growing urban population. However, the implementation was often met with resistance from farmers who were forced to give up their lands. In 1956, Nikita Khrushchev delivered a speech that marked a turning point in how this policy was viewed. The secret speech at the 20th Congress of the Communist Party denounced Stalin and his regime, highlighting the failures and human cost of collectivization. It took time for the full extent of these changes to be known, as information was tightly controlled within the Soviet Union. The policy led to widespread famine as grain quotas were enforced, causing millions of deaths. The resistance from farmers was often violent, with many choosing to destroy their crops rather than hand them over. Information about the true scale of the suffering was slowly revealed through accounts from defectors and secret reports smuggled out of the country. The collectivization policy left many farms without the autonomy to decide their own production, leading to a decline in overall productivity. The forced seizure of lands often resulted in farmers hiding or destroying crops rather than meeting state-imposed quotas. Personal accounts and leaked documents gradually shed light on the human cost, revealing the grim reality of life under collectivization. This process led to a significant loss of agricultural diversity, as crops were often selected based on their ability to meet quotas rather than local needs. The forced collectivization disrupted traditional farming practices, causing a decline in the knowledge and skills passed down through generations. Personal accounts described farmers resorting to desperate measures, such as secretly keeping small plots for personal use, which was considered illegal by the state. Over time, the true impact of collectivization became more apparent as hidden narratives emerged from those who had endured its hardships. And that is where we will leave Soviet Union for tonight. The facts will still be true tomorrow, and this video will still be here whenever you need it. Sleep well.